Traditional 2D animated movies have been practically non-existent for years in the West. At first, I thought it was a money problem, but being that television, a lower budget medium, continues to use traditional animation, I knew there had to be more to the story. I went through every CG and traditional animated movie in the past 26 years. I manually inputted over 400 movies from every reputable source I could find to try and understand what really happened to 2D animated movies. The first feature-length CG animated movie was Toy Story in 1995, and it was groundbreaking at the time. We've all seen it, we all love it, I mean it's Toy Story. And since then we've seen a continuous upward trend in this animation style, and a downward trend in traditional animation. If we look at this graph, we can see where things start changing. 2006 has this giant spike where we see 3D animation really take off. This year released great classics like Cars, Happy Feet, Ice Age 2, and more. Okay, most of these movies weren't great, but still, it's where computer animation started winning the animation war. But these movies take years to develop, so something happened pre-2006 that made studios pour their resources into this fancy new animation style. And it took me a long time to figure out what that thing was. Okay, so I've been looking at this data forever now, and I know it has something to do with money. It has to. And at the end of the day, they're a business, and they wouldn't put their resources into something that is giving them less value. So I found and I inputted the budget, the revenue, the profit of every single movie in these lists to try and find the answer. And things aren't making sense. The profit margins were higher in CG animation compared to traditional animation, but the budgets were also much lower. We're seeing a higher percent profit of 2 times the production budget for 3D animated movies compared to 1.5 for traditional. But we also see an average cost of $92.8 million per movie compared to $49.2 million per movie. Higher reward, sure, but at a much higher risk. So it made sense to me why powerhouses like Disney would throw their money into this new technology. Almost every studio was going all in for 3D animation. There are all these smaller and unknown studios hamming out CG animated films, and these films are becoming hits. Why would these companies do this? Okay, I think I'm finally starting to get it. This story is not about how computer animation beat traditional animation. It's about how movie studios finally beat Disney. Before computer animated films, Walt Disney Pictures held a monopoly on animation. It wasn't even a fight. Aside from a few standouts here and there, Disney was 2D animation. While Disney distributed Pixar films, it wasn't until 2006 that they bought Pixar and started really making their own animated pictures. In fact, pre-2006, of the 36 2D animated films to release, 16 of them were Disney. That's nearly half of all animated movies were made from the mouse. Of the 20 that weren't Disney, only 12 made a profit. There was a 40% chance your movie would lose millions. Computers completely changed the game. Besides a Sinbad and Final Fantasy movie, every computer-generated movie released before 2006 made a significant profit. And yeah, I calculated that too. The average profit for an animated feature pre-Disney's entrance was $234 million. And again, you had a 95% chance of making a profit, where previously you had an almost 50% chance of losing an average of $42 million. And Disney couldn't just swoop in to ruin that. The closest competition they had was Pixar. Sure, Disney backed Pixar, and that helped. And being the first CG animated studio, their technology was far ahead of everyone else. But even that ended quickly. You remember that movie in 1998 about bugs and their lives? No, not that one. The other one. Yeah, that one. It was made by a brand new studio at the time, looking to make a dent into this new technology. DreamWorks Animation. Ants released a month before A Bug's Life, another CG animated movie about bugs by the creators of CG animated movies. While it didn't do as well as A Bug's Life, it was still a huge profit and win for the studio. But 2001 really changes the playing field of animation as a whole and puts DreamWorks animation on the map. Shrek released to mass acclaim and won the first Academy Award for animation.
And the Oscar goes to Shrek,
even beating the grandfather of animation, Pixar. And from there, things just took off. There was Ice Age, Jimmy Neutron, Polar Express. Hell, there was even a VeggieTales movie that doubled their investment. Where previously less than half of the non-Disney animated movies made a profit, now 9 times out of 10, you were gonna nearly double the budget. And Disney sat there and watched. Okay, that's not entirely true. Disney still had a lot of success in the traditional animation route with big hits like Tarzan, Lilo and Stitch, Emperor's New Groove. But now they had competition that was doing even better than them. And sure, by 2007, they had owned Pixar and started making their own CG animations. But so many other studios already had their mark in the field. And while Disney would still take a large portion of the animation field, they would never have the hold over it like they once did. So yeah, it sucks not having new large-scale, traditionally animated films like we used to have. But the success of 3D animation is the success of an industry finally not ruled by one man. Or should I say, one mouse. You gotta be